Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is June 19, 2023, and today is Monday morning. So welcome back, everybody. Looking at the highlights of the day, the British pound gains to new yearly highs versus the US dollar. But first, no major economic events scheduled for today. And today, out of the United States, the markets will be closed in observance of a Juneteenth holiday today. So the markets will be affected, and so expect lighter than normal volume. Now, looking at the various markets coming into today, in terms of the Forex symbols, we're watching the euro gain nicely versus the US dollar, while the Japanese yen continues to weaken. Looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ tapering off last Friday. And looking at commodity, both gold and oil on resistance-ish level. And looking at the stocks, we're watching Intel spike nicely last Friday, and the tech stocks take a bit of a breather and taper off. Lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin continues to gain. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go with the Euro USD, and you can see on a daily, we're tapering off finally, but a big gain for the Euro USD to 109-ish level. Now we're tapering off at resistance-ish level, and you say to me, how is this resistance? Okay, let's take a look. So here was previous support. This was previous resistance-ish level. This area is resistance-ish level, so keep that in mind. Now, after all, we did spike, but we didn't spike with major volume. So I do expect a little bit of a correction here, but keep this in mind, okay? If the dollar continues to weaken versus all the European pairs, not just the euro, but also the British pound, which is not really part of Europe, but it is geographically close enough, and the Swiss franc, this is something to consider looking as potentially hitting this 110.90-ish level. Okay, we're about 100 pips away from it. Now, looking at the GBP USD, this is where it's at. We are hitting 200-day moving average. That's a major resistance as we're hitting that 128-ish level. So I do expect some sort of a retracement at some point around here. Okay, so keep that in mind. Australian dollar also pretty resilient. And lastly, looking at the Canadian dollar getting stronger versus US dollar. Okay, so it's everything's getting stronger versus the US dollar except the Japanese yen. Japanese yen at 141, and it continues to slide versus the USD. We may see it back at that 149-ish level, so keep that in mind. Now, jumping into commodities, looking at gold at the top of its range, 1997, and we're just shy of that at 1994. Now, it's been a layup, honestly, just trading the range in it, and that's all you got to do here is just trade the range. Now, looking at crude oil on also top of the range, so that's something to consider going into this week's trading. Now, the U.S. markets will be closed today, but just looking and tapering off the Dow Jones, the futures will be trading, but the markets are closed. So we did spike last week, massive gains. So, and we did taper off both in the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, tapering off from its highs of 15,440, as you can see here as well. Now, looking at the individual stocks, Intel, look at this nice spike from Intel. Let's bring it up. Look at that nice weekly spike to 36.38. That's important because Intel, like I said before, is a major company that it's a bellwether. Okay, some of the other companies like NVIDIA and Amazon and all those major tech companies are not bellwethers. They're trend weathers, but they're not bellwethers. This is a bellwether. Cisco and Intel. Now, Cisco also been very strong recently as it's hitting its highs of $52 a share. Now, looking at the majors, like Microsoft took a little bit of a break, so did Facebook, and so did Apple. So there was some money being pulled out of the market as well. Now, lastly, jumping into Bitcoin. So looking at Bitcoin, it did have a nice move on the upside to 26,400. It was on the brinks last week as it looked like it was going to break 24, and sure enough, it didn't. Now, we're on resistance-ish level on the 30-day moving average. Okay, so this is also very important. If it breaks it, then we can see ourselves back in that high 27,000-ish area. That's the next spot. So keep an eye on this as this unfolds later today. Expect lighter than usual volume because the U.S. markets are closed, and we're officially in June. But keep that in mind as we go into today's session. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.